Welcome to another weekly self-defense analysis. And today I'm going to be going with you the is boxing effective for self-defense? Um, like I said before, boxing is a sport. It's not a self-defense system um, like some people believe. It has rules, it has regulations, and it doesn't at all reflect how violence really is in the streets. So, um, I guess in some cases it works, um, but that's not the case for most cases. So today I'm going to be going over with you several, just there's tons of cases where boxing has failed in self-defense, and um, or maybe not in self-defense, but it would not have worked I mean, in a lot of situations because when it comes to weapons and stuff like that, because this situations happen too fast for you to respond effectively. So um, I'm gonna go over the times it worked, and the times it didn't work. So let's start with this one. This guy gets jumped by multiple attackers.
One of these two gentlemen, Grunhart or Gregorian, and it was Grunhart who won round one, according to all five judges. Oh my! Defend yourself at all times! Grunhart with a big right hand KO! Fight the ring! We've got to fight the ring! People are attacking Bruno Grunhart! It's insanity! Gregorian is still out!
Okay. According to this situation, a robber didn't realize who was getting inside his hustle at a pharmacy, and before he knew it, lights are gone. David West, visiting his girlfriend on Valentine's Day, stopped by to see if she wanted anything for lunch. His girlfriend, when a robber walked in, she said Subway, and literally right as she said Subway, the gentleman walked around the corner and jumped on the counter, demanding pain medicine. Robert didn't realize he was a good boxer. Started fiddling with his hands, reached into his pants, and that's when I reacted. There was a struggle at first before 4 punches were thrown, and the suspect was knocked out. So right there, the boxer pretty much sees the guy, knows he's a robber, and acts quickly. So in that case, boxing worked. Um, Once again, multiple attacker scenario. Why is it lagging? Okay, as you can see there, that kick definitely landed on the body. He wasn't prepared for that. So, as you can see, boxing didn't help in that situation. Here we have weapon attacks. Young boxer is considered lucky to be alive after being sliced near his neck in a stabbing at McDonald's in Belfast City Centre. He was at a fast food outlet with his girlfriend the following night when he was seriously assaulted yesterday during the early hours. He was attacked by a group of men wearing tracksuits and suffered a large cut along his neck and cheek. His coach visited him in the hospital and said he was fortunate to survive the wound. Um, Main artery was near his neck. There's the wound. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, he was pretty much hospitalized. See, next case. Here we have another guy who was stabbed.
Hell. Hey, are they? Oh, Jesus Christ.
See how he grabbed him by behind and then stabbed him? Boxer was completely unaware of that situation. Okay, another situation. Two boxers stabbed in separate incidents. One boxer was stabbed to death. The other was left fighting for his life in the hospital. A day after chalking up points to win over 6 rounds against, can't pronounce that name, against his opponent, he was stabbed to death in his hometown. As he was walking home, he was stabbed, died on the spot. And another guy was stabbed on Sunday. So, as for why it happened, yeah, it was pretty much people looking to rob him. Here we have, actually, that was another guy. Okay. Here we have more situations where boxers have stabbed in the same article. One guy was stabbed to death by a group of thugs. They surrounded him, they stabbed him several times. Young boxer was killed, and a whole bunch of other cases where of boxers being stabbed to death. Another case: former world champion boxer's son murdered by jealous ex-husband as he went to check on girlfriend's pizza delivery. He was attacked by a knife man. It says here, former world champion boxer's son was murdered by a jealous ex-husband as he went to check on a pizza delivery outside his girlfriend's house. Court heard that unprovoked and brutal attack claimed the life of a promising young West boxer. Details says that the killing was motivated by jealousy and anger. The fatal attack started in the backyard of a house in the city's Summerhill Park area before continuing on the street. Stabbed 6 times as he went to check on a pizza delivery made to his girlfriend's house. can't stand laptops sometimes. Okay. He was attacked by Orhan Koka, a Turkish man who was Mrs. Ward's former husband and the father of 3 children. While it's the Crown's case that Koka used a knife in the bar where he worked to stab Mr. McGee, he told probation that he inflicted the fatal wounds with a pair of broken shears he found lying in the backyard of the former home. Stabbed to death, pretty much. His blood was found splattered on a child's slide in the backyard and on a gate. His blood-soaked glasses were later found lying in the bottom of the gate, while there was also blood on his mobile. Blood was splattered on a car parked out in the street and along the route from the backyard to the curb where he fell and was found. Died from his wounds in the unprovoked attack. Next situation. Boxing legend, stripper wife choked the life out of him with her purse while he slept in a swanky Brazilian resort. 23-year-old former exotic dancer looked unfazed as cops escorted her out. They said the relationship was violent. Let's see. They argued one Friday night. Then the boxer hit her, punched her. And then she basically killed her when his guard was down. Killed him, sorry. Okay. This female boxer was murdered in her apartment. She and her husband were shot to death. And seems like one of her relatives is responsible for the murder. And yeah, pretty much. Let's see. Yeah. Next case. Boxing coach was brutally murdered in front of his 8-year-old son. Last thing my dad said was to call 911. Told me to stay upstairs so I wouldn't get shot. Let's see. He was gunned down outside of the Hit Squad Boxing Center. Police later identified the suspect as Roman Zarret. Can't pronounce that name. No struggle, no communication necessarily before the shooting happened. It doesn't appear to have been a robbery gone wrong. Appears he was waiting for him to come down. Let's see. And man basically shot him. And the guy took off. So, yeah. Here's another situation. Elvis Alvarez was shot to death in Colombia. O'Neal Bell shot and killed while being robbed in Atlanta, Georgia. Trevor Berbick murdered in a church by an assailant wielding a pipe. Suffered multiple blows to the head, died at the scene. Police arrested 2 men, one which was his nephew, in connection with the murder. Suspect was involved in a land dispute. It was reported that an unidentified 18-year-old man has been charged with murder. And yeah, Bill Brennan was shot to death by 2 street thugs in New York City. After he opened a club, says some rough-looking man informed him that he was buying the wrong mob's beer. He threw them out. He was later called outside by another man whom he didn't know. A gunman was standing nearby, pulled his gun and shot him twice. James Cullen, state trooper, has been chatting with Brennan earlier until he was near at the time of his death, and he was killed as well, actually shot. It says that one had a gang affiliation. 3 other men present were suspect to have been involved in the Hell's Kitchen gang. Prior to the shooting, Brennan had purchased the club with the winnings from a second Dempsey fight. Okay. So yeah, there's tons of cases where boxers have been murdered. You can look them up on Wikipedia, on Google. Do your research. There's just tons of cases where they have been killed. So, in short, self-defense is not a sport. It's not about fighting. And boxing might give you some basic hand-to-hand skills, but it's not enough to save your life. You need more skills than just hand-to-hand combat, because if you don't have sufficient training in all the areas that you need for self-defense, then you're not practicing effective self-defense, and you're likely to get killed. That's just it. For boxing, I'd say boxing can, it's a great sport, but it's not enough it's not ideal to save your life. Because real violence is not just about fighting. It's not about hand-to-hand combat. It's about survival, and boxing obviously doesn't give you that. So, if you want to learn more self-defense, subscribe to my channel. Like this video. Check out my blog. Donate. And I'll see you next week.